May I hope, madame, for your interest with your fair daughter Elizabeth, when I solicit for the honor of a private audience with her in the course of this morning? Oh dear, yes, certainly. I am sure Lizzie would be very happy. I am sure she can have no objection. Dear ma'am, do not go. I beg you will not go. Mr. Collins must excuse me. He can have nothing to say to me that anybody need not hear. No, nonsense, Lizzie. I desire you will stay where you are. Lizzie, I insist upon your staying and hearing Mr. Collins. Believe me, my dear Elizabeth, that your modesty, so far from doing you any disservice, rather adds to your other perfections. You would have been less amiable in my eyes had there not been this little unwillingness. You can hardly doubt the purport of my discourse. However, your natural delicacy may lead you to dissemble. My attentions have been too marked to be mistaken. Almost as soon as I entered the house, I singled you out as the companion of my life. But before I am run away by my feelings on the subject, perhaps it would be advisable for me to state my reasons for marrying, and moreover for coming into Hertfordshire with the design of selecting a wife, as I certainly did. My reasons for marrying are, first, that I think it is a right thing for every clergyman in easy circumstances to set the example of matrimony in his parish. Secondly, that I am convinced it will add very greatly to my happiness. And thirdly, that it is the particular advice and recommendation of the very noble lady whom I have the honor of calling patroness. It was but the very Saturday night before I left Hunsford, between our pools at Quadrille, that she said, "Mr. Collins, you must marry. A clergyman like you must marry. This is my advice. Find a woman as soon as you can, bring her to Hunsford, and I will visit her. You will find her manners beyond anything I can describe, and your wit and vivacity I think must be acceptable to her, especially when tempered with the silence and respect which her rank will inevitably exact. Thus much for my general intention in favor of matrimony. It remains to be told why my views have been directed to Longbourn instead of my own neighborhood, where I assure you there are many amiable young women. But the fact is that being, as I am, to inherit this estate after the death of your father, who, however, may live many years longer, I could not satisfy myself without resolving to choose a wife from among his daughters, that the loss to them might be as little as possible." "You are too hasty, sir. You forget that I have made no answer. Let me do it without further loss of time. Accept my thanks for the compliment you are paying me. I am very sensible of the honor of your proposals, but it is impossible for me to do otherwise than decline them. I am not now to learn that it is usual with young ladies to reject the addresses of the man whom they secretly mean to accept when he first applies for their favor, that sometimes the refusal is repeated a second or even a third time. I am therefore by no means discouraged by what you have just said, and shall hope to lead you to the altar ere long." "Upon my word, sir, your hope is rather an extraordinary one after my declaration. I do assure you that I am not one of those young ladies who are so daring as to risk their happiness on the chance of being asked a second time. I am perfectly serious in my refusal. You could not make me happy, and I am convinced that I am the last woman in the world who would make you so. When I do myself the honor of speaking to you next on this subject, I shall hope to receive a more favorable answer than you have now given me. Though I am far from accusing you of cruelty at present, because I know it to be the established custom of your sex to reject a man on the first application, and perhaps even now you have said as much to encourage my suit as would be consistent with the delicacy of the female character. If you refuse to understand what I am saying, perhaps my father can say it in a more decisive manner.